here with Athletic Director, Head Football Coach Jason Sims of the Childress Wildcats. How are you doing this morning, Coach?
I'm doing good.
So some strange circumstances we're operating under, even though it looks like it may be lifting just a little bit. How are you and your family holding up under these circumstances of you being home so much?
It's been personally for us been good. To be able to spend a bunch of time. I have three kids that are spread out. One's coming into high school, and one's 4 years old, and one's coming into junior high. And in this profession, you're gone so much. And of course, they go to your activities, and you're going to their activities. But we've been able to just spend a lot of time, which has been really good. A lot of coaches say they miss their kids growing up, and so being able to spend time with my kids has been a blessing. I know they're probably ready for me to get out of the house. I'm driving my wife crazy at times just because I'm footballing it and doing things, and it seems so distant to everybody right now. But I know this too shall pass, and we're gonna get back to ball, and we need to be prepared. And so I keep working.
You will talk about a little bit about the impact on the community and the kids there. How are the kids adjusting to these circumstances?
It's been an interesting, I don't know, a cultural experiment, I guess, to sit back. We've always done it a certain way. We go from spring sports into 7-on-7 and strength and conditioning, and the kids are gone doing, travel ball in the summers that are most of our athletes, or they're working. And for them not to have our guidance to an extent, we've tried to guide them as best we can. We, just like everybody else in the state, we've got, digital workouts and Google Meet and things of those nature, but just they have so much free time, and to step back and to watch the kids really take a lot of initiative on a lot of things that they're doing has been really eye-opening, and it's exciting. I feel like, just to watch how many of our kids have stepped up, and you just see them from afar. You're not around them, and I want to be around them, and I'm not. But watching their social media or being around, a small community, you see the kids to see how they're working and who's working and who's really stepping up and growing. And you fret as a coach, oh, we're going to get out of shape, or we're going to lose strength. But you see all these kids that have really taken it upon themselves to go and do a lot of stuff, and the leadership and the things that they're learning through this time has been, I think, extremely valuable. Hopefully the lessons and the characteristic traits that they have developed having to be self-sufficient during this time spawns into the type of leaders they're going to be, and then passes on from the classes below them from what they've learned from this time.
Absolutely. We adjust, and kids are very, very adept at adjusting to things. But some of this is almost turning into a throwback from more when you and our parents were shooing us out the door in the summer in the morning and saying, be back for lunch, kind of thing.
We were talking about this. A friend of mine and I both were the same way. When we got in trouble as kids, we were we couldn't go outside. That was our punishment. Oh, you can't go outside today. And it was a crusher. We lived outside. We played outside. We were gone fishing, riding bikes, playing ball. So if you were in trouble, your punishment was, you can't go outside today. Now, parents, they're like trying to find ways to get their kids to get outside. And I think they've opened up their eyes to, hey, there's a whole new world out here. They're getting off their devices. They're not going from point A to point B to point C to point D, just go. They've got all this time. And all of a sudden they're going, hey, we can go fishing and ride bikes and go out and play catch on our own or do these things, and I'm going to get my own workouts in. And they're finding things to do with a whole lot of time that they have on their hands they've never really had.
And so this all hit right in the middle of the spring sports. And of course, a lot of your athletes, most of your athletes there participate in multiple sports, including the spring sports. It's a small community there in Childress, and the school and athletics play a huge role in that community. So tell us a little bit of the impact of losing the spring sports on the community there in Childress.
You know, the big impact was our senior class. We had particularly for us, and there's stories across the state, but we had a kid who had finished second in powerlifting in state last year. He was the number one lifter in his weight class. It was almost like a formality for him to go to the state tournament and win state his senior year, and he didn't get to go. We had really, really, really promising athletes out on the track. We were equaling some of our relay times of our relays that medaled a couple of years ago, and we just felt like we were going to continue to get better. Our girls relays were, just going to be stellar, and so we felt like we were going to take a lot of kids to the state track meet. Several of those boys were seniors, lost that opportunity. And you know, the community, they're supportive and they want to go and watch and do and all those things, but it's everything is about the kids, and it was the kids who have lost. You know, the community's going to get to go watch other kids do some stuff in the future, and but those seniors will never get their senior year back, that spring back, that baseball back, that golf back, all the things that they're really passionate about. These kids are passionate about it. They know they're not going to be professional athletes. They know they're not going to probably go be college athletes, but it's still important to them, and the experiences they had, and to lose it, it's just heartbreaking for those kids. You know, the underclassmen, they're hopefully going to have their opportunity in the future. Like I said, the community is going to have their opportunity to watch teams, but those seniors, they're the ones who are robbed. They don't get that back.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little football. I'm not going to hear anything other than the fact that we're going to start strength and conditioning pretty soon. We're going to start practicing August 3rd. We're going to start playing in late August. I'm just not going to hear anything other than that. So what are the Childress Bobcats going to look like on the field this fall?
I'm excited. I'm excited about what we are looking like. It'll be a unique team for us because I feel like it's going to be the fewest amount of kids we've ever carried on the varsity football team here. We just don't have a lot of juniors and seniors combined. But what we've got out there is, I think, really quality football players, a lot of talent. Our junior class has had a lot of success all the way through, and then we had to start 6 of those kids as sophomores last year by the end of the year. We went through a weird evolution last year where we started off 0-5 and then ended up winning 5 out of our last 6 games, and part of that was bringing a lot of those younger guys up, putting them into spots, and they really started to flourish. And I think that they just paid dividends for those guys leading us into the future. And we have some really talented kids that are going to be seniors for us next year who have played on varsity since they're sophomores. But we're in a tough district. You know, we've got the Canadian Wildcats who are perennial powerhouses, and our rivals that we've had dog fights with since the day I've walked into the door here. And then you kind of got some up and coming teams, especially Spearman with their running back that's getting D1 offers everywhere. You got to be concerned about them. And so I feel like we're going to have a really good season. I feel like we're one of the top tier programs in 3A, and we'll continue to stay there, but you have to do it. You can't. I've told the story many a time. We have a world champion calf roper here named Strand Smith, and he gave a speech years ago to our football team, and I've copied it. We've got a lot of potential, but his definition of potential means you just haven't done anything yet. And so we haven't done anything yet. You've got to go play the games. But I like the kids that we have got coming back, and I think that we have the potential to be a very good football team.
If you want to talk a little bit more about the rivalry there with Canadian. Every year, I put together 10 games to watch every week, and every year that game's on that week's list. It's definitely a big game, and getting a read on both teams as far as how strong they are statewide.
It's a great rivalry. I mean, I love having a rival because I grew up here in Childress, and at the time we didn't really have a rival town. We were kind of at the tail end of when Quanah had been Childress's rival for a long time. There was a period after I left that Wellington was the rival, but when I showed up, Childress was playing Canadian. In my very first year here, they won state into they beat our pants off. But we put up 350-something yards, the most yards they've given up in years. And what it showed them, and Chris Ketting and I are very close friends. And Coach Cavalier over there, I mean, I have the utmost respect for them. And I think it kind of opened their eyes that Childress wasn't scared of them. And there's a chip on both communities' shoulders because Childress, we were the kingpins of the Panhandle during the 70s and the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I mean, under Coach Charlie, we were it, for small school football. And then we've kind of fallen off there for a while. And Canadian came on the scene, and they've had a crap ton of success. But it's all really been recent. If you go back and you look at Canadian history before Coach Lynch, they never really were on the map. And so you've got that chip on both communities' shoulders of who we used to be and who we want to be and who they are right now. And then it just kind of boiled into some really dang good football games because the very next year we lost to Canadian by 1 point. Then the next year we played them twice, lost to them both times then. And then the very next year again, we lost to them in Canadian by 8 points. And then this year again, we were down, but we played very well against them. And I think that a lot of times when you're at a school like Canadian or who Childress used to be, sometimes you can beat a team before you ever get off the bus. They just see the name across the jersey and the team just lays down. And I think that's why we have that rivalry is because neither team is scared of either team. They're not scared of Childress, but we're not scared of Canadian, and that causes it to be a really good football game. Both fan bases are extremely passionate, and it's just really boiled into a really healthy rivalry because I've been on some, non-healthy rivalries that have not been good, but I think that the communities respect each other. I think that the rivalries have been really good. They're really good, hard, tough football. But then if you turn around, our kids run around and talk to those kids all the time. I see people dating between the two communities. I think there's that our coaching staffs are close. So you've got this friendship rivalry until game day, and then it's this huge rivalry and really great. This is what Texas high school football should look like. When you come watch Canadian and Childress, that's Texas high school football, small school football, extremely physical football. I feel like I hope that we were well coached, but I know they're well coached, and I feel like you just see two really good football teams on the field every time. And it's fun to be a part of right now. I'm glad that I got to come back home, and then all of a sudden we've developed a rivalry with them, and it's made it very intriguing.
All right. One last question, give you a chance to brag on a couple of your kids. So when we talk about coming out this fall, whose names are we going to be reading in the paper on Saturday morning?
I feel like we've got several really good ones. We're starting with our seniors, Jason Sims. He started for us since he's a sophomore. He's been a playmaker for us at wide receiver and in the secondary, and I think that he's poised to have a great senior year. We're probably going to use him all over the field. He's a very talented athlete, great basketball player for us as well. And Lane Foster. Lane has been on the varsity since he was a sophomore. He's extremely physical safety for us. And then you're going to start to hear some of our juniors, starting with our quarterback that we'll have next year, Colin Bishop. Very dynamic. He he kind of came on last year for us. He started at quarterback, wasn't ready. We made a change, but he started playing wide receiver and safety. Started the year like 163 pounds, ended the year at 185. Looks like $1 million right now. Is really developed, and I think for the next 2 years, people will be talking about him. And then, and I hate to overlook a ton of people, but another name that people will hear a lot about is Jet Jones, who was a sophomore defensive end for us last year. That is just he's special. His motor. And the way he plays defense, I think that next year people will know who that is, because he'll be all over the field. You'll hear his name called a ton.
Coach, well, thanks for your time today, and let's keep positive thoughts that we're going to get some football in this fall, and best of luck to your Bobcats.
I have a good feeling about it. I appreciate it. If they're going to let us start strength and conditioning camp, this is Texas. We're going to start ball in the fall.